Hello everyone. Today we're going to be talking about how to set a budget when launching on Amazon. It's fair to say that Amazon is a pay-to-play system. The vast majority of brands will be advertising. Although I always try to steer clear of absolute statements, for 99% of brands, it's true to say that if you don't advertise, then you don't grow. Given that this is today's reality, every brand that is launching onto Amazon must allocate a marketing budget. The big question is how much to spend. In this video, we'll walk through the initial considerations that will help you to structure your thoughts about what is a sensible budget to enable you to meet your goals. Everyone has different objectives. I can't prescribe exactly what you should be doing, but by applying these ideas, you'll be able to formulate a robust plan. Okay, let's start with step 1. Set a fixed budget. Allocate a set amount per month for 3 to 6 months and agree on a return on ad spend or ROAS target. Your ROAS target should be conservative. Don't assume it will be easy to achieve a high ROAS. More importantly, it's actually detrimental to try to achieve a high ROAS when you launch. Increasing sales volume is the prime objective. ROAS can be improved and optimized at a later date. Setting ROAS too high will throttle growth and limit the long-term viability of the product. We recommend anything between £300 to £1,000 per parent SKU per month, depending on demand, competition, and the appetite for growth. So let's talk about how to understand demand and the capacity to spend. Many categories on Amazon are so large that you could, if money grew on trees, spend a lot and still only reach a small proportion of your audience. There's an argument that the amount we allocate to our fixed budget could be substantial. Why not spend more if the demand is there? This is the right line of thinking. It doesn't mean that you have to be ultra aggressive, but you should work through some market sizing analysis to understand demand. Use tools like Helium 10 or Jungle Scout to give you an estimate of the amount of sales that your direct competitors are generating. Remember to do this on a product level. It doesn't matter what the brand is doing as a whole. Your Amazon strategy should be based on product level insights. There's no brand halo effect on Amazon. These tools are not 100% accurate, but they will give you a reasonable sense of demand. Secondly, look at search volumes. A great way to start this process is by looking at which keywords your competitors are ranking for, and then to look up the search volumes for those keywords. Helium 10 has 2 very handy tools called Cerebro and Magnet that will do all of this work for you. Now we have estimates of competitors' sales and search volumes. We have a good idea of the market size, and we can start to quantify what a reasonable budget might be. Before we get into those exact numbers, step 3 is to consider your brand's market position. At this point, factor in your brand's recognition amongst the audience. If you're a well-known brand, then you can have confidence to push more aggressively and target wider audiences. If you're new to Amazon or a new brand, even if you're entering a very large market, it doesn't follow that you should invest large amounts. It makes more sense to start with a very targeted ad strategy, which naturally means smaller budgets. Step 4, fixed budgets or flexible budgets. As we've already discussed, to begin with, we do recommend setting a fixed budget. Trying to work from a percentage of revenue in these early stages is going to cap your growth. But over time, as you build up sales and are seeing consistent growth, you can start to move towards a percentage of total revenue model. By total revenue, I mean sales from both paid and organic channels. In the Amazon space, we call this TACoS, or total advertising cost of sale. So that's your advertising spend divided by your total revenue. The benefit of a TACoS approach is that it's essentially saying spend as much as you can as long as that spend is never more than X% of total revenue. The consequence of this model is that growth isn't impeded by budget. That's the downside of a fixed budget. If your finance manager ever starts to panic at the mention of this approach, reassure them that given that the account is generating decent revenue by this point, the actual ad spend is deducted from your account revenue. You only have to pay in if there was not enough revenue in your account. That shouldn't happen if your advertising team is closely monitoring performance. Okay, moving on to the next question, where to set that TACOS level? The central point to consider here is, based on the account profit and loss, what percentage of margin can I allocate to advertising and still give me a desired profit? That desired profit is subjective. You may be comfortable with lower margins in order to continue to push overall growth. In that instance, you'd set a higher TACOS. If you need to work to a specific profit margin, then TACOS is likely to be lower. When starting out with this model, we usually recommend beginning with a 25% TACOS with an aim of reducing that down to 8 to 15% over time. It's worth pointing out that these are just generalized figures, and you'll need to set the percentage at levels that make sense for your objectives and margins. Okay, moving on to step 6. In what instances would you increase or decrease your TACOS? We're going to look at 2 examples. So first, you're a personal care brand and you expect customers to continuously repurchase the product. In the second example, your products are highly seasonal, Christmas being an obvious example. If you know that customers will continue to buy the product, then you have an expectation of a given customer lifetime value. The product becomes more profitable as people make subsequent purchases. Now, this concept is really important. Knowing this is the case, then there's a justification for accepting a higher TACOS. You could even see acquiring a new customer as a break-even or loss-leading exercise. The benefit of this approach is that we can be far more aggressive in our ad strategy to acquire new customers. Allowing for a higher new customer acquisition cost makes commercial sense because you know that a large proportion of those new customers will convert to a loyal repeat purchaser. You'll see this approach used to great effect in highly competitive sectors such as the supplements category. Many brands in that space will accept a very low ROAS knowing that they make the money later down the line. In our second example, we're adjusting the TACOS based on fluctuations in demand. Let's say the vast majority of sales come in November and December. Consumer behavior is vastly different in this period versus the rest of the year. Firstly, there's a lot more interest and intent to purchase. That means we have the perfect mix of volume and higher conversion rates. But in the rest of the year, demand and the intent to purchase is much lower. Those dynamics will change our performance expectations. Now, let's add in a layer of understanding about how the Amazon algorithm works. If you try to run a low TACOS in these quieter periods, you're likely to lose ground to competitors and lose visibility before the demand starts to spike. In many cases, it is better to sacrifice a percentage or two of margin in these quieter months to grow or to protect market share. That allows you to maintain or improve your organic rankings throughout the year. By doing so, you'll be in the best possible position to seize the opportunity in Q4 and more than make up for that margin sacrifice earlier in the year. There may be other scenarios where adjusting TACOS makes sense. The key learning here is to have a flexible mindset and tailor your approach to the specific dynamics of your products and consumer behavior. So there we have it. Now let's summarize the key points. Start with a fixed budget. Don't try to achieve a high ROAS to begin with, as it will limit growth. Identify your market size, then consider your brand and awareness of your products. Over time, move to a TACOS model to accelerate growth. Set your TACOS based on your objectives and margins. And finally, think about adjusting your TACOS in recognition of consumer behavior. Thank you for listening to our video today. I hope you've really enjoyed it and taken lots of valuable lessons out of it. You'll be able to catch more videos on LinkedIn, our website, and on YouTube. Remember to follow us wherever you're watching those videos. See you next time.